Electric vehicles have progressed faster in the last decade than the internal combustion engine vehicle. You know what's funny? When we were going to Prince George earlier last year, we noticed signage on the highways that said that the last fuel stop won't be available for another 200 kilometers, 150 kilometers. So it wasn't that long ago that the network for distribution of fuel was actually quite sparse.
Oh, what do you mean for gas?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you didn't have enough gas to make it to the next stop within 150 kilometers, then you're stuck. And that was reflective of some of the vehicles at the time, even 20, 30 years ago, where gas mileage was really horrible.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on a highway, we usually have like gas station stops, right?
You do, but not for another 200 kilometers. And a vehicle that isn't able to make that distance, it would actually run out of fuel.
Right.
You know, so that would be range anxiety in the days of the internal combustion engine vehicle.
Yeah.
That was less realistic for electric vehicles because they were mainly city dwelling vehicles, right? They would be in the cities. Some of the early EVs that came to Canada, the Mitsubishi i-MiEV, I believe, it was this funny looking vehicle, had like 50 kilometers of range. Right. But you laugh, right. But it was only level 2 capable, wasn't fast charging capable. And with a 50 kilometer range, it would cover the average Canadian commute, which was around 15 kilometers.
All right. That's within the city area.
It's within the city area. No problem. It was the ideal vehicle for that. Taking on a road trip, you'd have some issues. And so that progress started to move further and further to 100 kilometer vehicles, then 200 kilometer vehicles, then 300, then 400. Now we have vehicles that are almost able to run 1,000 kilometers on a single charge, and with a charging time of about 20 minutes. 20, 30 minutes, up to 80%. So these are more expensive vehicles like the Mercedes, the Lucid, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And that progress has happened within the last decade.
Yeah, I've noticed the EV space have really progressed over the last couple of years. Definitely.
And
I see that.
That's surpassed all of the 50 years of internal combustion engine growth. Yeah. Because we're pretty much as efficient as we can possibly get without alternate fuel sources or hybrid technology, which has been added to a lot of vehicles. And some manufacturers are still crutching on that. So in our podcast show this week, we're going to look at some of the biggest companies, why they're struggling to make the EV adoption evolution to get these vehicles on the road in such a way that people will want to buy them. And there are some manufacturers that are going kicking and screaming with really internally hypocritical messaging that says, we have a plan, but really we don't. But we do have a plan, but we don't.
But isn't there like a conspiracy behind all that gas companies and petrol companies?
We were not going to cover that, I don't think, but we can touch on that. So I want to get into the show. First of all, let's talk about some of the upstarts, right?
Yeah.
It seems like everyone is starting an EV company right away. Okay. This is very similar to when the automotive industry was in its infancy 30, 50 years ago, right? I mean, we had the DeLorean. Yeah. The guy was a GMC exec. He started his own company.
Yeah.
He turned out to be a swindling, shilling philanderer that actually came to the UK, took UK money to build factories in an IRA-controlled Ireland.
What?
And he had Protestants and Catholics working in factories there together as kind of his sales pitch. And it turned out that those vehicles were not made well, and they were falling apart, and they were just not selling. Like there's nothing he could do. In fact, one of the vehicles that made it to North American shores, the person couldn't get out of it.
Oh. Because the Yanks they're huge, right? They're like, No,
they couldn't open the door. Right? Because the quality was so poor. So, John DeLorean. If you have a chance to look up that documentary, please watch it. It has some elements of some people that are now at the forefront building vehicles that look like a DeLorean. We'll touch on that in a little bit, closer to the end. So upstarts. You've got really innovative brands such as Aptera. They're building vehicles that have a 1,000 kilometer range, solar powered.
Yeah, I still don't believe that though.
It looks like a vehicle that may not survive in the place where SUVs dominate the landscape because the vehicle is very small. We have a manufacturer here called Electromechanica. You've probably seen some of the three-wheel vehicles. They're in Vancouver. They're really tiny. You can park them you could literally park them vertically in a parallel spot.
Almost
and they would fit like a motorcycle.
Motorcycle, yeah.
But even smaller than that. So you have these very innovative companies, right? But the ones that are actually doing a lot of the work, even and one of them behind the scenes is, you'll see Rivian. Rivian actually, their trucks were tested on Ewan McGregor's Long Way Up. He basically, Rivian partnered with Ewan McGregor to ride Harley Davidson electric motorcycles with 200 kilometer range from the tip of from the end of the world, so the South Pole, Argentina, all the way up to LA.
Wow, that's a long trek.
And along the way, Rivian was their support partner because they had trucks that could actually traverse that really difficult terrain. So they had 2 support trucks, and they also had a diesel, Sprinter van, obviously, just to kind of make sure that everyone was taken care of in case there was an issue. Obviously, charging infrastructure, not that great down there. Not that great. Not even existent. But as part of that plan to bring them up to ride from the bottom of the world up to LA, they dropped chargers in these places.
Oh, right.
Level 2 chargers, not DC fast, but level 2. So at least there is some infrastructure in place that from the film, I believe that a lot of them are still active. And they're still servicing customers that might have an EV, right? So Rivian is one of the ones that is actually out there because they are now outselling Ford. The F-150 Lightning for EV trucks. So the R1T is a success.
Yeah, I seen a video clip of, Cybertruck was released, right? Yeah. And apparently there was some issues with the Cybertruck and it got stuck in the snow. And guess who told him out? It was a Rivian.
Yeah, I can believe that. And there's a reason why, and I think it's one of the reasons. You don't have to quote me on that. I don't know exactly, but the Rivians are very solid trucks. They are in many cases when Rivian and Ford were actually working together.
All right.
They were actually partnered at some point, and then they stopped that partnership. But Rivian continued on, and they build. Arguably, because a lot of people really like that truck, they might actually build a better truck. So you'll never see you never see Tesla take a Rivian to go up against the Cybertruck because they, he'll always pick the gas F-150 to make fun of, because it is the top selling truck for 46 years.
Yeah, I was quite surprised that Rivian have really kind of upped their game and improved on their previous models or improve on their existing models to actually take on the truck, as in improve on the truck, EV truck.
Yeah, they are a truck company. They don't have any real plans to build a car. They are building trucks. So the R1T was their first truck. Comes in multiple trims, bigger batteries. Funny front of the truck. It looks really kind of comical. But if you look at the R1S, which is their SUV, it's also very boxy, but also extremely well built. Issues aside, there's going to be software. There's going to be a little bit of hardware, and most of these fixes are done in the field by their technicians. So just like they learned a bunch of things from driving it all the way through from the tip, from South Pole all the way up to LA, through all of that stuff. They drove the vehicles through Mexico. They really kicked the crap out of them. And you see in the show, they really didn't leave anything out. The trucks, when they broke down, they showed them breaking down and why and how. And they were the same issues that you would experience on any conventional vehicle because they're using the same type of suspension technology. So if you ran over a rock and it whacked your entire trailing link or drivetrain, it would have the same issue. So that stuff's not going to go away, right? So the next brand that we kind of want to talk about is Lucid. Now, Lucid is if you are familiar with the Model S. The Model S is a Tesla vehicle. It was their most luxurious launch vehicle, right? It was built on luxury. They wanted the vehicle out there that said, hey, this is an EV, and this thing is fast and luxurious, right? And the guy behind it his name is Peter Rawlinson. Peter Rawlinson went on because he obviously probably couldn't work with Elon because he's very difficult to work with. And he started his own company called, it wasn't called Lucid before. It was actually was working on some Formula E technology for charging for motors and everything like that. So it comes from a racing background. And then he got some money through a reverse SPAC, which is, where you have a company out there that's structured and then you kind of reverse it into the company that you want it to be. So he did that. And with the help of the Arab Monetary Fund. So there's Arab money behind it. These are oil backed. Billionaire companies, right? So it takes a lot of money to build a company that has capacity, EVs. Right? So Lucid is hitting the luxury top of the trim levels, right? They're 6-figure vehicles, right? In Canadian dollars.
Wow.
Right? So even their Lucid Air, the lower end model at 70,000 US, it's going to be $100,000 Canadian, right?
Wow.
Okay. So these vehicles are at the luxury end. But again, remember the Model S was also a very expensive vehicle, right? So Tesla started luxury before they got to the Model 3. It took them a number of years to get to the Model 3. Yeah. Peter Rawlinson, knowing that he started that entire roadmap, might actually be able to pull this off with the substantial backing of oil-backed industries from the Middle East, right? Yeah, There's a lot of money there, right?
So in the future, we could see cheaper models of Lucid for the mass market?
That's what they plan on doing. They don't see that happening until they get past the SUV launch. So they launched what's called the Gravity SUV, and it is a luxury SUV. It's got all the refinements from their Lucid vehicle, which when you sit in one, it's like a yacht. Like literally, like it feels awesome. And so many people actually drive them. A lot of people at Apple, which we'll talk to you in a little bit. But the what's his name again? I can't remember his name, but he has hair. Hair Force One is his nickname. But he drives a Lucid. Okay. So many people in the tech space drive a Lucid. Even though it doesn't have Android Auto. It just got CarPlay because of that Apple influence, probably. Yeah. They're not doing well on the stock side. Their stock has tumbled almost 80% since its high.
And is there a reason for that? Is it because there are people thinking it's too many EVs players on the market, or it's just that there's not enough kind of reach out for higher demand, higher luxury EVs?
They're not hitting their production demands because they're not scaling up fast enough. There are a lot of issues with scaling up a brand new company, as with anyone. Even Rivian had those issues, but they focused on building a not less expensive, but they knew what they wanted to do, and they road tested that vehicle in an entire movie, right? So they really had a lot going for them in terms of R&D. They literally duct taped that vehicle together to make it onto the show. And you could see that it was really prototype. All the wires were hanging out, and an engineer needed to be in that vehicle to drive it with them, right? So they had, I think they had a bit of they had a running start, right? And they had Ewan McGregor, which is Obi-Wan. Right. Yeah. So Lucid has a way to go. They have a lot of money, and they will get to that production level that they want to get because they're building factories in the Middle East. They're building factories in the US. They're going to be producing them. Who knows about Canada?
Yeah, I mean, for any big company like that, especially EV company, biggest cost is production and their factories. If you look at Elon's Tesla mega factories or gigafactories, it costs hundreds of billions, right?
Hundreds of $1 billion. Those presses don't cost, they cost a ton. They also go out of alignment as you can see that some Teslas are actually not aligned properly. Yeah. Because they're casting them quickly, right? And they're going full mass production. So the next company that kind of is not luxury in any shape or form that's going full on for a mass market vehicle at any cost in the EV space, it's a company called VinFast. Now, we've driven the VinFast. We actually have an episode on how horrible it was. And it continues to be horrible for many people. Just recently, Donut Media, which some of you may know from YouTube, they retested the VinFast VF5. VF5 or VF8?
The VF8, I think.
VF8. Yeah. And that vehicle was better But it wasn't perfect. They checked off a bunch of boxes that really bugged the crap out of them, including the bings and the bongs and the all the stuff that really annoyed us, annoyed them. They kind of fixed the dampers, but it still isn't an EV fast off the line vehicle. It feels a lot, how should I say, bigger than it is. Because it just doesn't get going.
It just doesn't drive well.
It just doesn't drive well.
Yeah.
It's okay still. And it fixed a lot of issues in their eyes. But when Kyle from Out of Spec Motors, another YouTube channel, he was one of the first to actually drive the vehicle in Las Vegas and had made a video that they, I guess the team didn't know about it. So he was one of the ones the first to report on the fact that it did the bings and the bongs and it bounced all over the place. And he actually now has enough people on his team that he's started to lease vehicles for all of them to kind of long-term test. Right. One of them was a VinFast VF8, a green one, and it's somewhere down in Colorado, I think. And he signed it to one of their female writers and content creators. And when they picked it up, it did a bunch of things that they didn't expect.
What's that?
One of them was that the entire dashboard disappeared.
As in, like the digital display is gone.
Because remember, in the VinFast, you cannot drive the vehicle without a display because the display, it has no cluster. It has no instruments.
It was also, there was a head-up display as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it's not very good because if you wear polarized sunglasses, you can't see it, right? So if you wear polarized sunglasses, it's gone, right?
Okay.
And that was something that one of the demonstrators told us about. It's like, hey, if you wear polarized sunglasses, are those polarized? Yeah, you won't be able to see that. You'll have to look at the screen to see your speed. Okay.
Okay.
So it disappeared.
The dash display's gone.
It disappeared. And when they went to a Electrify America charger, everything just fell off. Like they knew people Electrify America, so they called their buddies at Electrify to help them with the charging.
Yeah.
Eventually it worked, but they had to drive to another station to kind of get it to charge. And that was an issue. That was a brand new vehicle after the Donut Media video hit that they picked up right off the show floor. They didn't need any cleaning or anything like. They just wanted the vehicle. They just wanted to give it to us. So just do the basic checks, give it to us, right? And that's off the floor. That is the delivery experience to have issues right out of the box.
So there's a lot of refinements they need to fix.
There's a lot of things that they need to fix in order to restore confidence in their brand. And also long-term longevity of the vehicles is still suspect. However, I do have one shining example. And this was kind of an underhanded one for them. When they reported their sales numbers, they combined the sales numbers of a new division that they created for the express interest of actually driving around their VinFast EVs.
Wait. The combined and new division, is it the same selling EV cars or different cars?
Let's say that everything comes from one pocket and goes into the other pocket.
So they're just making up numbers then.
I would say that they created a division, transportation division in Vietnam to drive EV cabs.
Oh, okay.
That belong to them.
EV cabs, different category.
So 11 or 12,000 of those vehicles are now in Vietnam that are stated on their sales figures.
Which are not consumer, they're commercial.
They're commercial. They're commercial numbers, right? So usually I think, I don't know if there is separation. If someone can correct me, please let me know. But when a manufacturer sells X number of vehicles, they usually count consumer numbers, I believe, or total numbers. Probably total numbers. But the fact that over half of those numbers for their sales was this cab company, the other half were consumer. So those numbers will be smaller next year.
If it's only consumer,
Yeah, if it's only consumer, right?
And the reason why is because you have better choice now. I see a lot more models of different brands now available for people to choose from.
Yeah, the choice is going to be the big issue. Cost is going to be the big issue. Quality is going to be the big issue. And we'll talk about someone a little bit lower down that actually has that same issue with some overseas manufacturers. They're doing a fantastic job.
Right.
Not VinFast. But one of the surprising things is we know that Apple has been working on something vehicle related, right?
Yeah.
We thought it was like an operating system for a vehicle.
I thought it was going to be a ICE, like in-car entertainment system.
Something to do with bringing the Apple experience in, just like Android does with Volvo. Volvo vehicles all run an embedded version of Android OS that is integrated into everything in that vehicle. Yeah. And most people thought that it would be Apple Car OS, right?
Oh, Apple Car.
So they were actually working on a vehicle. They were actually working on a self-driving vehicle, EV type of vehicle, because a lot of people inside Apple are EV fanatics. We know that what's his name again? I can't remember. If the Air Force guy, Air Force One, I can't remember his name, but he does all the presentations. He's got the hair. Maybe you can tell me. But he actually drives a Lucid Air. Okay. In the presentation, when he was showing off his phone, he actually had the app for his Lucid on his iPhone as he was demonstrating it. Can't remember his name. It's killing me right now. And that shows you that people are really excited about Lucid. In fact, during a little drive down to the U.S., I actually noticed a bunch of Craig Federighi. Craig Federighi drives a Lucid. Okay, I don't know what Tim Cook drives, but you know what? A lot of the executive probably drive similar vehicles, right? So I was like, hey, you know what? This is probably why Lucid got Apple CarPlay before Android too, right? So that has something to do with it, right? But they wanted to do their own experience. Apple wants to do their own thing. That level of arrogance, it's like, everyone's stuff sucks. We should do our own thing. And that's coming oozing out of every pore of every Apple exec's like, no.
They're going to say EV reinvented.
There were no EVs until Apple built an EV.
But I heard that they abandoned the project because of costs. But they shouldn't be.
They spent billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars trying to catch up to somebody that actually knocked on their doorstep not many years ago that said, hey, Tim, my name is Elon.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Can we work together? Maybe you could buy us and we could build cars together. And they said flat out no.
Yeah, they said flat out no. Yeah.
So you got the arrogant Apple people saying, "Oh, we could do better than this upstart over here. Of course, we can do better." And then you got the crazy Elon guy. It's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna." Well, I'm mad now. I've been dissed. So I'm going to go all out.
That's why I still have respect for Elon in that sense. Because they're building rockets, man. Come on.
Apple doesn't build rockets.
Exactly.
They do not, right? So Apple had a chance to get into vehicles and maybe even be the Tesla of now. However, I have a feeling that the reason why they said no is because Tesla, Elon, and his leadership style is not compatible with the way that Apple does things. Because if you look at all of their vehicles, we're going to get to that at the end. Apple's things are refined. They're perfect out of the box. The software experience, there's nothing wrong with most of the things that come out of the box. Even the refurbished products are almost identical to the things that you might see brand new out of the box. And that's why the refurb store is so popular. So to have a Model 3, to have any of the vehicles have like panel gaps, like an inch wide and pressed not correctly, would not be compatible with the way that Apple does business. Right?
Yeah.
In fact, the Model 3 would probably never be a $35,000 vehicle under Apple leadership. It would be a $60,000 vehicle because of their insistence on certain things.
Yeah. Refinements and make it a better experience and stuff like that.
And it would also have half the features for that price.
Yeah. If you ask me, if Apple car, if it does come out, nah, not for me. Sorry.
No, I don't.
They're good at making phones, laptops, but
I think right now, even a little while ago, there was a rumor that Lucid was in talks with Apple to be purchased by them or partner with them. I think that partnership started with the Apple CarPlay. But who knows? Maybe, I am a Lucid shareholder, so stuff that I say might be complete BS to inflate the stonks. But, if Apple did partner with them, man, I would get that 80% loss back. For sure. But enough about that. Let's talk about some players that you might already know, which is Toyota, Honda, and VW.
Yeah.
Starting with Toyota. We know that Toyota has fired their last family member just a few
From
years
the
ago.
board.
From the board just a few years ago, because he had no plan. He didn't understand this EV thing. He had no plan. Then they hired someone new.
Okay.
And this guy is actually equally clueless. He's equally clueless in two respects. Number one, he's a flaming hypocrite. On one hand, he's like, EVs will never fly. Hydrogen is the way. On the other hand, he's partnered with every single battery manufacturer to develop next generation technology to build an EV.
He doesn't want to miss out on stuff.
He can't afford to miss out because this is the way. They have hybrids. They do a great job on hybrids.
Yeah, I see a lot of hybrids.
Right?
Hybrids seems to be very popular with the Toyota cars.
Yeah. Toyota has invented that, not reinvented it. They've invented that drivetrain in such a way that it's extremely reliable. We have Priuses. They're over 20 years old. They're still running, no problem.
Yeah.
Their traction batteries, they're still okay. You don't get the range because they're not heated and cooled like they are in a full EV.
Yeah.
But you get that kick, that boost of electricity, right? So in cold places, you're not getting that much range from the hybrid technology. Their plugins are also not the same, right? They still use a little bit of gas to heat it up.
Yeah,
they
still need
do those
gas.
things,
Still need gas.
right? So plug-in hybrid technology. This is where Toyota has confidence. They build the greatest numbers of vehicles, rivaling Tesla, who actually has the record now.
I tell you why they're so in this hydrogen things because in Hong Kong, for example, they use minibuses and taxis. Toyotas, they're all Toyotas.
Yes. Yes, they are.
Toyota's Crown, I think.
Crowns.
And in there is hydrogen tanks.
Yep.
Every single taxi and minibus use the hydrogen gas tank.
Where did they fill it up, though?
They have stations where, in fact, gas stations, both petrol or gas and hydrogen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
you have the infrastructure there.
Okay. So where there's infrastructure, it might happen. But we do know a few things about hydrogen and how it's created. And we know that it is an extremely inefficient process that takes electricity to make the product. Then it takes electricity to compress the product. And then it takes it being put into stations that cost $1.5 million per nozzle. And you have to put in technologies that don't make it freeze, because once the nozzles freeze, you can't fill up the vehicle or the tank.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things there.
Sub-zero, like minus 200 degrees or something like that. It's crazy.
Then you have to put it into a tank that's capable of storing a gas at 10,000 PSI.
It's liquefied.
Liquefied gas at 10,000 PSI. Now, you can't introduce a spark. You can't introduce a heating element on any of those nozzles or near the tanks and anything, because remember the Hindenburg? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So imagine that, right? So in these types of applications, the cost of the fuel there's a lot of cost to the fuel, right? It's just being masked by the fact that it's a testing ground for all this stuff, right? So what I found out recently is that if any of these tanks start to leak, you actually have to do a leak test. And if you need to replace it, it's $4,000 to $10,000.
Crazy.
To replace just the tank, not the fuel. So with an EV battery, you can just replace the affected cells, and then you're off the races again. You can charge at home or wherever, right? Back to the depot when you have lunch, whatever, right? I know that Hong Kong is small, so
correction actually, half actually, half hydrogen, and the other one's liquefied petroleum gas, which is it's condensed kind of gas.
Okay.
I can't remember what gas they use. Is it propane or butane or something like that? But they liquefy. So it's half. So you have half of them driving in this LPG. They call it LPG.
Yep.
LPG. And the other one's hydrogen kind of stuff.
Okay. So, they're in limited testing in different places, right? But Hong Kong's quite small. It's very small,
7 million people. That's it.
So it's small, right? So to have this limited base of people driving around testing these out, it's still expensive to fill up. Like,
Is it cheaper though? As in, like,
it's $133 to fill up your tank
of gas,
here.
Of hydrogen
here in Vancouver,
and that lasts you how many kilometers?
It's about 500 or 600 kilometers.
Okay,
right.
So it's about similar to gas.
It's actually double the price of gas.
Yeah.
It's also a small vehicle. It's called the Mirai. It's smaller. It's the size of a Prius, a small Prius, to drive that.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
we went to Prince George, over 2,000 kilometer trip roughly.
Yeah.
The entire bill was $150.
Oh yeah.
Or less. Actually, it was a little bit less.
It was on the EV. We did it last year. Yeah.
One single fill up would be at least 4 to 5 times more than an EV.
That's more expensive.
Completely,
4 times.
Not even home charging, right? I can charge at home. If I charge at home, that trip wouldn't be anywhere near that price.
I can see why this Toyota person it's because hydrogen is so abundant, right? However, production, like you said,
is extremely wasteful.
So I don't know. They need to really move on the EV space, because if they don't, they're gonna mess up.
There's also this thing of pride and honor.
Yeah.
In Japan, they can't just stop doing something, otherwise they must commit seppuku. You have to die on your sword. Somebody made the pitch for hydrogen, and somebody's going to die on that sword. Until he goes away or until he's booted off, Honda will never admit wrong. They will never admit wrong, right? Asian people do not like being wrong. They will just go down that road until they're like... The idea dies with the person that pitched it.
So we won't be seeing any Toyota EVs, complete EVs.
Oh no, you already see one. It's called the Toyota BRZ. I can't even say it. It's the the SUV looking thing that kind of looks like the Subaru.
All right.
It's Subaru and it's the same thing.
All right. So they made that just because
it's built by BYD in China. It's that partnership, right? So the entire drivetrain is the BYD using some tweaks from Subaru and Toyota separately. It charges really slow. It has software issues. The first batches, the wheels fell off them. Right, this is not Toyota quality. This is not even a Toyota.
No.
Right?
So they kind of gave it to someone else to build it.
It's almost like malicious compliance. So yeah, we have an EV too. Yeah, here it is.
But it's not built by them. It's not really built by them.
You should buy no.
They OEM'd it.
This is like this. It's like this vehicle sucks. Look at our EV. It's not very good. You should buy it hybrid instead. This is how they use it to sell their vehicles. But in the marketplace, every EV is a certain level, right? Their EV fell short of the mark, by a lot, and that's dishonest. Dishonest.
Tell us Honda then.
Honda smartened up. Honda actually works with Sony. Sony knows software. Every EV manufacturer that has legacy has software issues. They can't figure it out because software was never part of a vehicle, right?
Yeah.
But Sony understands software, for better or for worse, right? I know that Sony cameras kind of suck in that respect, but imagine going through all the menus to kind of get to your blinker. No, at least Sony understands it because of their PlayStation.
Yeah, the PlayStation OS is pretty solid.
It's pretty solid. Everyone understands it. Everyone gets it. Everyone plays the games, right? Gran Turismo, blah, 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 right? So having someone as a partner to build vehicles under the Afeela brand name potentially might actually be a good exercise for them, right? They did partner with GM.
Did they
build their Passport? Was it the Passport? But it was an SUV style vehicle based on the Blazer.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Unfortunately, we'll talk about this in a little bit. Blazer's having some issues.
Oh.
Okay. We'll get to that. But eventually what happens is that their technology for Ultium, their battery packs and everything, good idea. But Honda, someone had the foresight to say, hey, you know what? We need our own plan. Because these jokers, they don't know what the heck they're doing. So they went off and they have their own roadmap. They're going to be announcing things. They already have a very successful, really cute vehicle in Europe called the E-Up, which looks like one of the older Honda. I can't remember what it's called. Like,
is it Fit?
It's not a Fit.
Jazz?
It's not a Jazz. It's smaller than that.
It's smaller than that?
It looks like a squash Jazz. Yeah. It's got the boxy kind of, but it's cool. The E-Up, right?
Oh, E-Up.
And it's 200 kilometer range.
Smaller.
It competes with like the
city driving kind of thing.
City driving competes with the older VW E.
They had the Polo and they had some of the smaller
e-Golf. It competed with that. ID3 doesn't compete with that because that has a lot more range, but it's a very small city vehicle, right? Very cute. And I think that them kind of not saying that they're committed. They seem like they're much more committed than Toyota is.
Yeah.
So of the two major manufacturers in Japan, we didn't talk about Mitsubishi. They actually built one of the first EVs. I think they have the best chance as being a mass manufacturer.
For Honda, I mean, for Japan, EVs, that kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah, so they've already have a track record. They're partnered with the right people for software. Toyota is unfortunately too big of a ship to ride its way. They've been saying things about solid state batteries and you should wait for us. No one's waiting for you, Toyota. No one's waiting for you.
The train's gone.
The train is gone. It's out of the station, and Honda's picking up pace. You might
catch the next one.
You might even see Mitsubishi because they have one of the more popular SUV plug-in hybrids, the Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV.
Okay.
Even though the vehicle, it's okay. The fit and finish isn't like the materials aren't great. The fit and finish is fine. It just isn't exciting. It's not a Mitsubishi Lancer.
Oh,
it's not exciting.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's true.
But it plugs in, still uses CHAdeMO for some weird reason. But it plugs in, it charges, it gives you like 50 kilometers of range or something like that, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, but VW, something a little bit more close to your heart.
Yeah.
You own a VW.
I do. ID4. And it's been great. We've had it for well over 8 months now. And charging, no problems. We've got the level 2 home charger now.
Nice.
So that's on a 32 amps.
Good. So you're getting max speed at 7 kilowatt.
Yeah. I'm done within an hour or two max.
Yeah. And if you empty the battery, you'll be done in 8 hours.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And we don't really need to actually go to any external outdoors chargers. If we need to, then it's only whatever. There's chargers everywhere.
So you're saving a lot of money.
We're saving well over $500 a month.
There you go.
Seriously.
There you go.
And the electric bill came, seriously, no joking now, about 56 Canadian dollars.
Yep.
On the month.
Yep.
It's like, what the hell?
This is not a unique story.
Seriously.
Not unique.
And we're saving so much on the EV. The car drives fine, no problem, man. It's just like a normal car. She drives it with that mode where it feels like a normal car. So she doesn't have that mode that you have. The fast, like, you drive like that. You put the foot on the pedal and it shoots off. No, my wife drives it like a normal car, and works fine.
So here it's doing a little bit better because everyone's looking for a SUV style vehicle, and the VW does fit that bill.
Yeah.
Initially, it did have a lot of software issues, and they were actually even pulling the heat pump out because they didn't have enough parts.
Right.
Same issue plagued Audi because they're their sister company.
Yeah.
So they were pulling the heat pumps out and they were reinstalling them later, but I don't know how you would even do that because it's integrated into the battery cooling system and everything like that. So that was kind of a big deal. Luckily, you got the top trim one, which comes with it, and they took it. I guess it was a run that they didn't have them when they were running out of parts. So globally, though, VW's kind of image is shattered because of Dieselgate. That's when they lied about
that was a couple of years ago.
the emissions and everything. So they had to build their own charging network as a punishment. So Electrify America, Electrify Canada is that charging network.
Oh, really? They're partners with them.
They're partners with them. You might actually get free charging on their network if you check in the manual.
Okay.
So if you didn't know that, you might have to activate it at a certain time. So don't give that away. But anyhow, their business in Europe has a lot of smaller brands. Like you've got Citroen, you've got what's that other brand? Peugeot. There's another brand, a few other brands.
And Italy is Fiat, right?
Fiat is Stellantis, which is Dodge.
Yeah.
So they're in that marketplace as well too. There's another brand that's really up and coming, but they're owned by a Chinese brand as well too. I can't remember.
Oh, it used to be British, right?
It used to be
MG.
British. MG, yes. MG is one of them British, as well too. So the MG is just
that's very
really
popular
doing well.
in the UK now.
Extremely popular.
Really popular in there.
So if you think about the makeup of vehicles in that European space, you've got the ID3.
The ID3 is the more smaller version of the ID4, right?
No, it looks like a Golf.
Oh, it's a Golf version. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a better e-Golf version. It's an upgraded e-Golf, right? So it's kind of the hatchbacky kind of Bolt style.
Yeah.
Then you've got the ID7, which is kind of your saloon sedan. Sedan, not a saloon. Saloon is still a sedan, right?
Yeah. We call it saloon. You guys call it sedan.
And then the estate is the wagon. Okay, they're going to have an estate, and they're going to have a saloon.
Yeah.
called the ID.7.
Yeah.
And that's coming out because in Europe, SUVs are not as popular, but those types of vehicles are very popular.
In Europe, estate, because it's like a box added on the back, right?
That's right. Right. That's right. So those vehicles are going to be successful for VW, but in the smaller vehicles, in overall volume though, BYD, all these other brands are eating at their at all of their pieces of their EV plan. And 8% is what makes up all of VW's entire EV shipments.
Yeah, you say BYD in Asia and things like that, right? Especially in China.
They used to be crappy.
It used to be crappy.
But now they're amazing.
They're really good.
They build for Toyota and Subaru now.
And you can pick up a pretty high-end BYD EV for $25,000.
And it's good.
US.
It's good. It's decent. It charges fast.
And the cheapest one you can pick up was for about 18 to 19,000 US.
Yeah. So if you think about what an entire electrified fleet could do for Beijing, which has a lot of smog, you can see it from the airport. Like it's a cloud.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It would clean up immediately. Then there are studies on this, right? In places like in Norway, we use it as we always use that because Norway is almost completely electrified. Is that the air is so clean. Their air is so clean, right? I wish everyone can smell air that's that clean, but we can. It's just it doesn't exist here yet. But anyhow, can the microbus save them though? That vehicle everyone wants.
That looks fun.
That looks a lot.
Is ID Buzz? Is that
ID Buzz?
Yeah, ID Buzz.
Right, the microbus. If it comes back, it's going to be one of the coolest vans on the market.
Yeah,
better than any Voyager or Pacifica or anything like that from Dodge. Right, it's going to be something that it just puts a smile on your face when you drive it around.
It's a fun vehicle to drive.
It is a fun vehicle, and I saw we both saw it at the Fully Charged show, which is coming back this year to Vancouver, and I can't wait to kind of. I probably will be a second generation, third generation guy on it, but yeah, I it's something I want.
I can see a lot of people modding it, right?
Yes.
As in like modifying it, putting like couches in there and sunroof that can extract right to the back and make it like a camper van, but that's what the original VW camper van was, right?
There is a camper van version of it. They are testing it in California right now, and it does look like that. It has the thing that comes all the way up.
That looks cool.
So I can't wait to see it. This will definitely be a very popular vehicle for a lot of people, including families. But let's move on to the Koreans. The Koreans are where all the batteries come from. A lot of the batteries come from LG. Yeah. LG makes a lot of batteries. Very popular. Kia. I drive a Kia.
And my brother drives a Hyundai.
Yes, he drives the Ioniq 5, which is also very popular. Yeah. And now we have all of the latest generation eGMP vehicles out in the market, including the Ioniq 7 will be coming soon, but the EV9, EV6 from Kia are already out in the market.
EV6 is slightly bigger than yours, right?
Oh, it's quite a bit.
Yeah, and then,
it's about a foot longer. Yeah,
and then the EV9 is the biggest
SUV. It's the size of a what's it called on their side? Palisade would be the Hyundai.
It's quite big then.
It's quite big. So this is a three row configuration, 7-seater, or you can have 5, very comfortable. And this vehicle has just hit the market. It looks just like the pictures that they had out there, the concept pictures. It's not that different, and it rides on a platform that is for them is not shared with any internal combustion engine vehicle. It is completely built from the ground up to be an EV, called the eGMP platform, which is shared with Hyundai. They're working on another generation platform that will be completely North American charging standard, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Yeah. And that will be something that a lot of people will want to strive for because it'll be built specifically for EV, maybe having larger batteries, maybe by that time as well too, more efficient batteries as well.
What's the range on the new EVs from Kia?
They're saying 400 for something that big. It's a big vehicle. Like it's not small.
What I've noticed over the last few years is that the ranges keep on going up.
They do it in the same size vehicle, but when you go in up in size of vehicle, because we haven't just kept vehicles the same size.
Yeah.
Right. If a vehicle was the Niro, if the Niro was the same every single year, you do see an incremental bump up in terms of range. Like for example, mine is 383. The newer one is 425.
Right.
Same vehicle, same size. Right. But when you go up in size.
Because it's bigger, it's heavier.
Yep. The EV6 is a next generation using not an internal combustion platform. It has more range. It's a little bit bigger too. The EV9 is now a same generation of same generation of platform, but it has a bigger battery inside. But it's so much bigger. So the range is going to be that optimal 400 or something range.
Yeah.
But it's just so much bigger because it has a bigger battery and it has so much weight to carry.
I think they need to bump up that range on the catalog so that people, when they see it, I like that range.
Well, that's something
I want to buy it. Like,
there's something that is actually not the range that you see is not a complete year-round operational range. This is the same issue with gas vehicles, right? Most gas vehicles lose 20% of their range in the winter because if you test it back to back, it's using heat, it's using more gas, right?
Yeah.
So the EPA and the governing body in Canada, they want to come up with kind of a year-round standard to kind of test against, so that the range that you get is actually more of a realistic range for year-round use within a certain temperature range. Yeah. That's coming. There's a lot of red tape around that, but hopefully we see ranges that are more within spec. Like for example, I get well over 450 in the summer.
Yeah.
But I get 300 in the winter. 20 in the winter. That's negative 12.
It's like you get a gig internet line, right? But really, you're gonna get like 700
up to
and if you're on a Wi-Fi, it drops down to like 300-400.
And if no one's home, it gets really fast. So they're hoping that some of this testing will be more realistic, that they can give you those numbers that are more close to what people will get driving in a range of conditions. Something that's coming, right? But Kia and Hyundai, they're doing okay. But there was one thing that really irked everyone in the marketplace was the fact that Kia and Hyundai a little bit is that they actually withheld stock from the marketplace. They actually artificially inflated, even though they had the things waiting in warehouses.
All right,
they had stock. They kept it away from dealers. I'm trying to be on the dealer side, saying that the dealers weren't even aware. So they were released into the marketplace in batches as people were putting down deposits to buy the vehicle, and all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, the vehicle shows up. But you have to pay MSRP. No haggling, no nothing, right? So they kept the prices of the vehicles high at MSRP. So the dealers are obviously happy. They don't have to barter or anything. Like you just put the deposit down, it shows up 2 weeks later. I thought you said 6 months. No. Guess they had some new stock, right?
They always say that.
They always.
Yeah, we had one. Say that. So some customer didn't want it. So now you got it.
Yeah. So that is kind of the shady part of that business. Hopefully we can hold Hyundai and Kia account, because people do want their EVs. They just don't want to be ripped off. That's why, we'll talk about him in a little bit. Tesla's model is one price. Prices do drop. There's no price protection, but at least the price is the price.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So Hyundai and Kia doing okay. Their new vehicles coming out. They had a new platform. We're really excited about those. They're going to have North American charging standard built right in, and they're going to be just better. They're built from the ground up to be EVs, and they are taking the capacity away from their internal combustion divisions to actually focus them on this task.
So you got a Niro, Kia Niro, right?
Yeah, I have.
Are you planning to upgrade to the Kia 6?
No.
EV6?
No, I like my vehicle just fine right now.
So how long do you expect to? Because you had it for how many years now? 3?
This is my third year.
Third year. How like for a lot of viewers out there, how long do you expect to keep it for another number of years?
Depends. We might not trade in this vehicle. We might keep this one and actually get rid of the gas vehicle, because I have a plug-in hybrid as well too, and that might go next.
So 3 years, no problem, and you can expect to drive it for another 3-4 years, no problem.
It's 160,000 kilometers, 8 years on the battery.
Okay.
We're at 80,000, so we're halfway through that. So I have 80,000 kilometers worth of warranty still.
And all these 3 years, you have had anything major breakdown at all?
Nothing major. It's like when you say major, it's like, is it warranty? Yes.
I mean, as in no battery.
Oh, the battery didn't go. The only thing that I needed to change, and this was my fault because I knew it was going, was the 12-volt battery that still had in the vehicle. I should have changed it a long time ago, because I realized that when it wouldn't pump up one of my tires and it died, I should have changed the battery then. Batteries are normally a wear and tear item. 12 volts, not the traction battery, not the one that runs the propulsion of the vehicle, but the 12-volt battery is in every vehicle, including internal combustion engine vehicles. And that battery Yeah, it gave.
That needs changing. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, guys, he's been driving an EV for 3 years, no problem at all.
Yeah,
and he can drive another 3-4 years.
What am I at? I spent $2,800 to drive this vehicle for almost 3 years.
So you save thousands
of dollars. I have 80,000 kilometers on this vehicle. It's not even a joke. If you think this is a joke, I have numbers. I can prove it to you. And even if you don't want to believe it, well, that's too bad. I will take that money and go. Thank you. Right? That's just what it comes down to, right? I'm not going to argue with you. I don't have that time. But let's talk Ford, GM, and then we'll get to the elephant in the room. Ford and GM. Hey, these guys, Ford is they're ramping up production really fast. They've got their Mach-E and they've got their F-150 Lightning. Both are selling well. People have been writing things about them having to scale back in production due to lack of demand, which is actually not true. What they've done is they actually ramped up to pre-pandemic levels faster than they thought. So they have too much inventory because of that ramp up. The orders are being filled, back orders are being filled, right? So that's why they're on lots finally. At least now you can get a vehicle without being gouged, because before that happened, I heard people were paying $20,000 more than MSRP for a Lightning.
Yeah,
like that's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous,
right?
But I do like the Lightning trucks. They're very nice, actually.
Yeah, and just recently, Ford Canada and Ford US have announced that they are now officially part of the Tesla Supercharger network. All you need to do is sign up for the Blue Oval app, which is what most people charge with anyway, on the Ford on any of the Fords, because it's part of the app, and then you get access to Elon's network, and they're going to be shipping out free NACS to CCS adapters to everyone.
All right, so you can actually use any Tesla charger as well.
Yeah, it just happened. They were one of the first to announce that partnership. Now it's executing.
And does the vehicle have the Tesla charging head?
That's what I said.
All right. Okay.
They're shipping the CCS to NACS adapter to every customer.
Wow.
Within the next 6 to 8 weeks, depending on.
Nice.
Right? So that's free. To these customers only. The next series of vehicles will be using the NACS adapter. We'll have a NACS inside.
Straight up.
Nice. All right. So that's happening right now as we stand. So this partnership, hopefully this continues, because that just tripled the number of chargers that Ford customers can access now.
The infrastructure then, and also plans for your trip to stops will be.
Yeah, it's built into the Blue Oval app. It's built into navigation. So now their software now tells you where to go.
Great.
Including the supercharger network as part of that deal. So that's good.
Will the Kia and Hyundai have the same?
Not sure.
Okay.
They have announced that partnership, but don't know what's going on yet. They haven't announced anything official, but Ford was the first to jump on. Okay. Therefore, Ford gets the ability to say that, yeah, we got it.
Okay.
We're good. So GM is also going back to plug-in hybrids. The Chevy Volt was one of their first plug-in hybrids. It has 70 kilometers of range. It was a very popular vehicle and people still love it. They're driving them into the ground.
It's because it's cheap and it's affordable and it's easy to run.
It's big enough. It's reliable enough. It drives it's got good pep. Right? It's got what's called a series hybrid plug-in engine, where it actually literally boosts it off the line. So it's really well made. People thought it was a lot of fun. Even our friend Linus had one for a long, long time until he bought a Taycan. Right? So GM is going back to plugins because they're losing a lot of partnerships, because they want dealers to convert, but it's too fast for a lot of them, because in a lot of places they still need trucks, they still need things that still run on gas. So the plug-in hybrid is their stopgap in between while they make that transition to EV. Right. The Blazer, which I talked about earlier, which was the Honda model, that was their partnership. It rolled off the line. And within a month, they had so many software glitches and everything like that a lot of the vehicles literally drove off the lot, came back the next day. So that was as far as launches go, that wasn't
good.
That was a catastrophe.
Yeah.
That was a catastrophe. So as they work on that, including the walking back, and I think this is a stupid idea, they say that CarPlay and Android Auto wreck the automotive experience because it's too distracting. So they built their own software to go, and that's the reason why it messed up. They tried to build their own software. No. Just let us have Android Auto and CarPlay, and you deal with making sure that this screen doesn't go off.
And the car drives.
Deal? There? That was just dumb. Okay. So that was something that they walked right into. You don't just build your own software for a vehicle that you don't like. Even Honda knew that they needed to work with Sony to do stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that's all on you, GM. I'm sorry.
I haven't heard of any really popular GM EVs
besides the Chevy Bolt, which is you're going to see a ton of them in the secondary market. That vehicle has 420 up to 425 kilometers of range, 385 in the previous trim. It's going to be a vehicle that works probably year round. I used to own a Chevy Bolt, a 2017 model, one of the first years, and I still got 275 kilometers of range. It doesn't have a heat pump. That's why. And it was subject to the recall where, Chevy Bolts were combusting, but you get a brand new battery.
I do see a lot of Ford E-Max. I see quite a lot of them.
They're still out there because they're cheap, but you can't fast charge them.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, a lot of you can't. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's a great city car.
City car.
It's good to have a secondary market for a lot of these things. A lot of cities use them as their patrol cars as well too. Same with Leafs and everything like that. They're going to be in the secondary market. You're going to see a lot of them as used second cars because people just realize all of a sudden, why am I spending $700 a month driving a vehicle? I don't.
I recently seen the gas prices. It dropped down to $1.50 something.
It was $1.90 over there.
It's $1.90 now.
It's almost $2.
See, with the EVs, electric, you're paying electric bill. That's the actual that's it, kilowatt, whatever. The gas prices like up and down like crazy.
It's based on the market, and we don't control that market because it's globally dependent, right? So, moving on.
Yeah,
let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Mr. Elon.
Actually, let's talk about Tesla rather than Elon. So NACS was a big win, obviously, right? Yeah. There's no conversation about EVs until you mention Tesla. And NACS was a big win.
I wonder how much he lobbied or paid.
Oh, he probably paid a lot. Because now all his networks are now at 100% capacity.
Yeah.
100% capacity, right?
That's true.
So every manufacturer is jumping on with NACS. Most vehicles, most models will be converting their CCS ports to NACS because it's easier to go the other way with an adapter imminently. So 2024, 2025, new trims of vehicles will have that built right in without an adapter, right? And even if you don't have an adapter, Ford just said that, like I mentioned, they are sending out that adapter for free.
Can you use it with an adapter, your Nero?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I haven't tested.
Oh, okay.
Possibly. I don't. I would have to find out if I'm on the list. It still needs
it needs
testing.
to be like a compatible list.
Yeah.
Okay.
There still needs testing. And maybe not. If someone makes an adapter and they want to give me one, I'll go try.
Okay.
I'll drive up. Okay. My port is where it needs to be, so it's good. I won't take up 2 spots. But anyhow, at the same time though, nobody trusts Elon. Nobody trusts him because 7 manufacturers created the IONNA network.
Oh, it's a different network. Okay.
It's a different network. Joint venture of BMW, Honda, Hyundai, Kia, Mercedes-Benz, and Stellantis. Ford's not in there. So Ford got the treatment because they went with...
and I see in a lot of European companies.
These are all European companies, right? So they don't trust Elon. Okay, and so they've gotten together. They're going to build out this network. They said that they're going to be adding incremental numbers of chargers at certain places. Okay. Like I know that Mercedes-Benz already has a partnership with ChargePoint. They have these luxury kind of stations where people park inside. They can go to the cafe as they charge their vehicle, and then they can drive out.
It's like a VIP section.
So very VIP-ish. I don't know if this is going to be part of the IONNA experience. Porsche also has a similar kind of place where you can drive to these stations inside cities on the outskirts, and you can do the same thing. Electrify America is also doing these indoor charging places where you can go grab a coffee while your car is charging and get some work done if you want, and then just head off. So these experiences are going to evolve. I know that Elon had Tesla he filed for a patent where there was a drive-through.
Oh, drive-through.
Yeah, where you plug in your vehicle and get a burger.
Drive-through charging.
Yeah, so drive-through charging. But there's also been some issues at Tesla in particular with the Cybertruck and the Roadster. We'll talk about the Cybertruck first. So the Cybertruck, when it launched, it was stainless steel.
Stainless steel.
Yep. Now, stainless steel is notoriously hard to work with because it's extremely heavy and it rusts. I don't care what anyone tells you, it does rust.
There's different grades of stainless steel. The high grade ones don't tend to rust. For example, in watches, stainless steel watches, they're high grade, they don't rust, of course, because otherwise you're wearing them.
Yeah.
But the cheaper ones, the cheaper grade stainless steel, probably not what they use, right?
They did not use a grade of stainless that is impervious to rusting because they have been rusting.
Yeah, they've been rusting.
There's patina on them. The panels are they're hard to break. Like people have been shooting bullets at them in kind of the red states, but they do rust. They do patina. Some people have been saying, "Hey, let it go to crap. Let it patina. Let it be natural.
I want it warranted.
And then clear coat it because that's like a unique look of the vehicle, right?
Yeah.
No vehicle will be the same, right?
Yeah.
So, trying to make lemonade from lemons here, right? So that vehicle definitely not stain resistant. Probably very difficult to clean as well too because you can't just clean it with anything. You need kind of like the special compound to polish it.
Probably, yeah.
So the polishing and everything like that also
it's going to cost you.
It's going to cost you a lot. Okay, it's going to be hard to wash, right? So yeah, it's hasn't been kind of the promise that it was, and it's also been destroying tires.
It's heavy.
It's heavy as heck. It's destroying tires. It's why it's been been needing to be towed out because it's so heavy it sinks.
Because most vehicles are made aluminum.
Made of aluminum,
alloy,
carbon.
So with stainless steel, it's a very heavy material.
Yeah.
And that's probably, the tires just get worn.
Well, the tires they put on it are not actually wide. They're actually fairly narrow to maintain the amount of range that you get. And the aero wheel covers have been chewing into the sidewall, causing extreme damage that they're addressing with new updated aero covers. But still, that was some of the teething issues with the vehicle. I would have thought that they would have discovered this issue over the first 1,000 kilometers. These are brand new vehicles coming off there. They've only got a few hundred kilometers on them, and they're having some of these issues. So we'll have to see how this manifests itself into fixes. But on the side of Elon promising things and not delivering and then promising them again, Elon drunk tweeted that his Roadster, which was announced first in 2017.
Yeah, the new Roadster. Yeah, what happened?
That was supposed to launch in 2020 is now relaunching again. In 2024.
Doing an NVIDIA thing, right?
Yeah,
relaunching.
They're relaunching in 2024. So that's this year to ship in 2025. It will have, sub 1.5 second launch times. It uses some sort of a compression, like a rocket compression. There's tanks in the back.
What the hell?
There's tanks. It's like a rocket technology. There's tanks in the back that they use for the SpaceX stuff that will propel the vehicle and also keep downforce.
Yeah, but wait. So it's an EV.
It's an EV.
But where's this gas thing come from?
The tanks are in the back. The tanks are in the back under the seat. Like if you have no back seat.
It's like a NOS.
It's like NOS. Rocket engine NOS. Okay, now this is rocket technology. So if you want someone to service it, do they get the SpaceX people to service it, or do they get the Tesla people? Because this comes right out of some of their capsules.
Yeah,
this is a propulsion system.
So that's probably why the gigafactories are so huge and expensive to build, right? It's because they're putting like SpaceX stuff production in there, and they probably have that,
partially,
partly have that capability. Tesla Roadster stuff.
But the Roadster will be part SpaceX technology, part Tesla EV. And if you get that model, you have no back seats. I don't know. People have paid $50,000 just to kind of reserve it.
Oh, just to reserve
to have one of the first models. You're not getting that money back.
I reckon 200,000 plus.
Maybe. We don't know yet. So yeah, it's got rocket propulsion in it. It gives downforce and propulsion. of some kind. I'm not clear on it, but they'll demonstrate
I've seen vehicles, the sports vehicles, I think in prototype testing and stuff like that. Not Tesla, I'm talking about others, I can't remember which brand, on the track. And the speed and was so fast, and or whatever they did, that the car just flipped up. Because the jet engines,
no downforce.
They're downforce. So I've seen cars just go and then they just flip because it's so fast and there's no downforce, and they just
this is a rocket propulsion. It probably pushes the wheels into the ground from the top down.
There you go.
Yeah, SpaceX technology. Anyway, that's our EV roundup for this week, and I hope you enjoyed it. If we missed some topics that you want us to kind of talk about, do let us know, because we are very interested in your feedback, and I hope you at least enjoyed this show, found it entertaining. And if you did, how can people make sure that they continue to get our show?
Yeah, well, you can contact us in the comments below or at our podcast show at gmail.com.
But where are we?
Oh, of course, we're exclusive on YouTube. And make sure you subscribe to us and click on that notification for new shows each and every Wednesday.
At noon.
At noon.
All right. Until next week, we'll see ya.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.